Actually got it working correctly. Hello and welcome aboard another episode of the Gallant Says podcast live at youtube.com/Paul Gallant or twitch.tv/Gallant Says. It is Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. And the Houston Astros, after a 9-1 ass kicking of the Minnesota Twins, are a game away, and you're going to get pissed off when I say this, from officially making the playoffs. And they got to take care of business. Don't get me wrong. This series isn't over. I think that the Minnesota Twins are a lot better than what they showed today. But this one, from the get-go, was about as satisfying as it gets. First inning, the Astros got the only 4 runs they would need the whole game. And here's the thing. If they get started early, they feel unbeatable, don't they? When the offense is hitting like it was to open this game up, it's Jose Altuve with a hit to open up the game. It's not too long later. You get Yordan Alvarez with a line drive down the line that the first baseman, I guess, misplayed. I guess that's why they called it an error. The next thing you know, you got the 2 guys on, and Kyle Tucker singles home Jose Altuve. And of all people to put the route on, it's Jose Abreu who gets one of the biggest hits, if not the biggest hits, of his Houston Astros career. Yeah, that's number 1. I mean, you get a home run like that to put Sonny Gray, who really pitched well against the Astros earlier in the year, on his heels right away. It felt like it was fucking over from there on out. 4 runs in the first off of Sonny Gray and his sweeper, which the Fox broadcast could not stop talking about. I'll be honest, I'm a baseball dummy at times, but I have no idea what the fuck a sweeper is. I guess it's a sinker that goes away from the batter or something like that. Whatever the case, I mean, it turned into a blowout. The broadcast was talking about sweepers, shadows, and eventually fantasy football at the very end. And let's be honest, you probably prefer blowouts to close baseball games. You do. I think I get why the Minute Maid Park crowd on Saturday and on Sunday was as tense and uneasy as they were. Saturday, they're up 6-0. Hector Neris allows 4 runs, and the next thing you know, it's dicey the rest of the way. The Astros fall in a big hole against the Twins on Sunday. It was pretty quiet the rest of the way. And you got a pretty quiet Minnesota Twins crowd after that first inning because of what the Astros did early on. Mark Games at youtube.com/Paul Gallant says, October legend Chris. Yes, Cristian Javier. Cristian Javier showed a level of toughness tonight/today in the shadows on the mound that I think Framber Valdez could learn from, because he found himself in some very difficult situations and he got out of all of them. You could say that's luck, but the way that he did it, I think he deserves a ton of credit for it. We haven't seen many starts like this from Cristian Javier this year. Against the Baltimore Orioles a little bit ago, yeah, you saw it, but holy shit, he was great. Starts in the first. You're getting a little bit nervous because after striking out the first batter that he faced, he walks a batter, he gives up a double. So there's runners on second and third with 1 out. And the Minnesota Twins crowd noticed that Cristian Javier was taking his sweet time to get the ball to home plate. I'm of the belief that umpires are going to probably give pitchers the benefit of the doubt in the playoffs, because that's how it's been done for years and years. The regular season games that last 4 hours are the ones that nobody wants to watch. I think we got used to there being a pitch clock there, but I think that they're probably not going to call many balls or strikes on pitch clock violations in the playoffs because people will lose their shit. Maybe in future years they will. But the umpires were a little bit generous with Cristian Javier, and the Twins crowd got pissed off immediately. Credit to them for being alert, and I thought they had a great idea. Loudly counting the pitch clock down while Javier was up there. I would love to see the Astros crowd do that just to fuck with the pitcher. But once the crowd really got into it, he struck out not just Royce Lewis, he struck out the guy who's been the best hitter for the Twins in this series, Carlos Correa, the old Houston Astro, Framber's old teammate. I mean, from that moment on, you felt like something special could be brewing if Javier can maintain control. Aaron Russell at youtube.com/Paul Gallant loved seeing their fans leave. I didn't see a lot of the shots of the crowd leaving. We saw the same thing happen with the Astros on Saturday and Sunday. I'm not going to cast stones because people were leaving pretty damn early on Sunday. I get it, though. It's Sunday night. People have work. And the Astros have won 2 World Series, which makes it a little bit easier to do those things. J+K, youtube.com/Paul Gallant says, gonna need Tucker to step up tomorrow. I can't see us getting more home runs out of Yordan and Abreu this series. Well, I thought it was a good day for Tucker at the plate. Tucker did have a couple of walks. He got a hit too. So it's possible. I hope it's Jeremy Pena, to be perfectly honest. But to go back to Cristian Javier, second inning, he basically struck out the side. 5 of his first 6 outs are strikeouts. It was a tip bunt to end the second inning. Third inning, it gets a little bit dicey. The control, sometimes an issue with Javier. He hits a batter, he walks a guy, but he gets a foul tip, a fly out, and a line out. That was really probably the most dangerous area, it felt like, for Javier. Had the ball been hit in different spots, okay, maybe we're talking about a couple of runs on the board. The 5th inning is where I really thought, though, that he showed a level of toughness that I hope Framber Valdez learns from, and I hope he's able to recapture at another point in this postseason. So he walks a couple of guys to open the 5th. He had a pretty good pitch count going into that inning. I want to say it was in the low 70s. And he works his way back in the 5th. He gets a pop out. Check that. I'm looking at the wrong inning. He gets a fly out after walking the first batter. He walks the third batter. The fourth batter, he struck him out. And baseball's got a weird replay problem where you can't review balls and strikes. I get it. It's opening up a Pandora's box if all of a sudden you say, you know what, we're going to allow all balls and strikes to be reviewable. But a caught foul tip is technically, while a strikeout, is it not a ball hitting a bat that's caught by a glove, therefore also making it just an out? This is something baseball's going to have to go back to. It makes umpires look like fucking idiots. The umpires don't want that. The broadcast was describing how generally umpires are going to be listening for a tip when on a check swing the ball makes it to the catcher. But when it's loud in a playoff atmosphere, it's going to be difficult. And just from the umpire's vantage point, I know a lot of people hate umpires, but that's really difficult to see. You're trying to determine whether or not the ball was a strike or a ball, and the batter is checking his swing. You're relying on in that situation, the third base umpire to determine whether or not he stayed or went. If you don't hear the tip, you're probably not going to see that it was a foul tip that was caught by the catcher. So they got to allow a review of something like that if we're going to do it. But I suppose for baseball, it's a slippery slope. You allow a foul tip to be challenged. is that going to happen regularly? But if you only have a couple of challenges over the course of a game, I feel like this is an easy fix. So they fucked up there, and you're thinking, oh, shit, what if the Twins, who are down 5-0, but now have the bases loaded with one out, you're thinking, oh, fuck, this is going to suck. And the broadcast was on it right away. Like, that looked like it was foul-tipped. Everyone thought it was foul-tipped. The Astros dugout thought it was foul-tipped, and it didn't matter. And that's where Javier, I think, showed more toughness than, to be honest, any pitcher has shown this season. And again, very high bar that Javier set here. That's not a slight on the other Astros pitchers out there. But something like that happens. How would Framber Valdez have handled it? Probably not well. The umpire fucked it up. Not intentionally, but he fucked it up. And Javier strikes out the next batter and strikes out Royce Lewis again, swinging to end his game. Fantastic outing by Cristian Javier. The final numbers in 5 innings of work, 9 strikeouts, 5 walks. And I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like to hear this, but a shout out to Martin Maldonado and the game that he called behind the plate. They were talking a lot about the shadows and how difficult it is to pick up the ball over the course of the broadcast. And you got to admit that Martin Maldonado framing pitches for Cristian Javier in a weird lighting setting like Target Field was today. Don't you have to give Maldonado a little bit of credit for that? I think you have to. Especially on the day where Yainer Diaz had 4 strikeouts. And Maldonado had 2 hits. But who's counting? YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Jadorian said, yup, everyone watching agrees it was an out. Yeah, I think even Twins fans would have admitted that. Luis says, the boys seem to have the shadows figured out. Do we want the O's to win tonight so we can play another day game? Or should we root for South Oklahoma to win so we get a primetime game? It's so funny. The shadows are something that could potentially help the Astros out. Well, I'm probably going to be really annoying with this on my radio show tomorrow, but Martin Maldonado wears a mask. Is Martin Maldonado master of the shadows? Is Martin Maldonado Bane? You merely adopted the shadows. I, Martin Maldonado, was born in it. I would like to remain in the shadows. I would like this game on Wednesday to take place in the day, so the Twins have to deal with me in my element. So yeah, I would like to see the Orioles win so that there's another day game. How about that? I don't know what the score of that game is right now. The TV in my office, I have a Fire Stick, and it's like a really old Fire Stick, and it barely works. I think I'm going to need to replace it or something like that. What else do we have comment-wise here? YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. J+K says, I want Texas to lose. Something that went viral before the game. These fuckers never learn. There were people walking around, whatever their ballpark is called, with "We Want Houston" signs. Jadorian comments, I want Texas and the Orioles to go to 5 games. I agree. I think you want those pitchers, whoever they are that you go up against, to be as taxed as possible. Oh, more people are talking about the Martin Maldonado Bane voice. I'm going to have to script it out on the radio tomorrow, but that is a working title. I haven't done Bane voice in a really long time. The Dark Knight Rises sucked. It did. If we're really looking at the movie objectively. I loved it anyway, but the plot is kind of ridiculous. But Bane's so fucking awesome in that movie, it makes the movie. 100%. He's so great. But the movie made no sense. Like, hey, here's this random hot rich lady. Oh, we're going to fuck on the first date on a rug in my powerless mansion. Oh, I'm the bad guy's daughter. A little bit too much jumping all over the place. What else do we have to talk about from today's game? Jose Abreu. He balled. And here's my question for you. You can do your own math. How much of his $58.5 million contract did he officially earn tonight? How much? Because ultimately, with the Astros, it's not about what you do in the regular season. It's about what you do in the playoffs. And if not for that 3-run homer in the first inning and he added another one in the ninth, this game would, I think, have been a lot more tricky. You might have seen more Sonny Gray. Gray did get back into a groove after the first inning. I mean, he pitched all right the second, the third, and the fourth inning before Alex Bregman officially chased him from the game with that home run. So, I feel like if you're Jose Abreu, this is really what you're here to do. You're here to have power numbers in the playoffs. He got 2 home runs, $58 million contract, 58.5, 3 years. Let's do a little Paul Gallant math here on the fly. I believe he's earned $7.5 million of those future dollars with tonight's performance. 7.5, because it does feel like now the Twins are in a spot where they're reeling. I think they thought very highly of their crowd and the impact it would have in today's game. The the Twins crowd was out of it really quickly because Jose Abreu hit that home run as quickly as he did. Yeah, hang on. We got an intruder. Aria, what do you think? What do you think about Jose Abreu? Do you think he earned that contract? $7.5 million? $8 million? $9 million? $10 million? You just don't fucking care, do you? You are such a cat. Love you. Abreu balled. So I'm going to say, Paul Gallant math, he earned $7.5 million of that contract. We talked about Jose Abreu. We haven't even talked about Yordan Alvarez yet. Yordan Alvarez, and I'm too lazy to actually compare him to everybody else in division series history. But Yordan Alvarez has an OPS in this series of 2.205. I didn't know it was fucking possible to get 2 point anything. Holy shit. To this point. What are the official numbers in totality for Yordan Alvarez? He is batting .500. His on-base percentage is .538. His slugging percentage is .1667. And he has 4 home runs, 2 doubles, technically 3. That first contact that he hit down the right field line was technically an error. He doubled down the right field line in the third. He doubled down the right field line a little bit later. And he had that home run in the 9th inning. Why are the Twins pitching to him? Like, what are you fucking doing? The broadcast even compared him to Barry Bonds, and there was a little bit of pushback there. Fair enough, but ALDS, Yordan Alvarez, is close to Barry Bonds. Jadorian, you dropped some money. It's my first tip ever. I wanted you to say, Ted Cruz is my daddy. Boomer fingers. I'll get you next time. Why am I going to say Ted Cruz is my daddy? I'm not going to do that. No, I think everybody hates Ted Cruz. No offense. He's just fake. But he loves to tell people about his podcast. I would love to have him on my podcast, but he should probably have me on his podcast to talk a little Houston Astros, no? Did you see him and Ilhan Omar going back and forth? Like, talk about insufferable politicians. Jesus. Like, can you stay out of the sports world? Can we have our reprieve from your bullshit? There's enough going on in the world now. I don't want to see Ted Cruz at a baseball game. And talking about his podcast. I don't want to see Ilhan Omar from Minnesota doing the same thing. My cat is bunting the shit out of my leg right now. What else do we have to talk about in today's 9-1 victory? Alex Bregman finally joined the party offensively with a home run. Jose Altuve led off the game with a hit. That was pretty much it. Kyle Tucker, he got on. He had a couple of walks. I feel a lot better about Tucker and Bregman going forward because of today. I think you needed something from those two that they were able to make it happen in this weird environment that Target Field creates with the shadows, with the wind. Why the fuck did they build an outdoor ballpark? I get it. The summers in Minnesota are probably really nice, but you build a stadium like that thinking to yourself, you're not going to make the World Series, right? I mean, it's going to be cold the first couple of weeks of the year. It's going to be cold the last couple of months of the year. The sun's going down early. You got this weird love that baseball has of playing these games in the early afternoon so they can stagger them. Kind of weird that this one's the first one. The team that everyone hates being on before in not prime time, where the Rangers and Orioles are on. I'm taking a look at the score right now. Texas leads 1-0 with 2 outs in the bottom of the second inning, and they have runners on second and third. Yikes. Man, that would be a really disappointing story if the Orioles are just swept right away. The Orioles are fun, and they got some Astros graduates amongst them. I don't really have a level of hatred for the Orioles. Kevin Brown is my friend. He's the play-by-play voice of the Baltimore Orioles. You might have heard about him from that scandal about how he was allegedly suspended from the broadcast. Yeah, man. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Jason Taylor says, cat guy. I don't know if I can believe another word from you right now. Cats get a lot of hate. You know, there's a lot of people, tangent, that own dogs, and they're shitty dog owners. Oh, look at my puppo. Oh, look at my fur baby. And the thing's not trained at all. Dogs are work. I love dogs, but I know that I'm not responsible enough to properly train a dog. I'm not. I would need help from somebody else. That, to me, is a couple's pet. I had a dog in high school. His name was Grizzly. He was an adorable, sweet boy. I miss him dearly. He passed away back in 2016 or so. Yorkie poodle. He was like a bigger Yorkie poodle, about the size of like a Shih Tzu or something like that. Cute, adorable dog who loved jumping in the pool and swimming. They're great, but they're work. And I know far too many people who don't put in the work, who let the dogs sort of run their life. And on top of those two things, they'll bring them out and they're just shitty. And then think about this. Like, a cat is pretty cool by itself. I don't think they love it by themselves. Obviously, my cat is seeking attention right now because she keeps on nudging my leg. But cats are the perfect bachelor pet. Low maintenance, low responsibility. Dogs are like having a very loyal, very loving, very cute kid, but they're a lot of work and a lot of time. And I would feel bad leaving my dog at home all day long. I would. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Jadorian says, if the Astros shit the bed, go Diamondbacks. Yeah, because the Astros swept the Diamondbacks at the end of the year, and you could say, well, they swept them at the end of the year, and technically they swept the World Series champions. What else do we have in the lineup today? Jeremy Pena. I'm waiting for the Jeremy Pena blow up. He had a hit. He had a web gem in the 6th. That shut everybody the fuck up, because there were a couple of moments where the Twins crowd started stirring, only to be brought back to silence. And I know that people love to get mad at Dusty Baker, but thought most of his decisions today were pretty good. Hunter Brown first out of the bullpen. You're probably not going to Hunter Brown again anytime soon. He allows the 1 run. Wasn't a great inning, but at the very least, you give him that seasoning of bullpen work in the playoffs. The one thing I would second guess was bringing in Brian Abreu. He had 2 strikeouts, looked really good in that inning. Phil Maton also, I thought, looked great in the 8th. Rafael Montero looked solid. So, that is something that I never feel good about. But you know what? Up 9-1 in the bottom of the 9th inning. Yeah, you can put Rafael Montero in there. I don't think he can fuck that one up. But I have no problem with the way that Dusty Baker managed the bullpen. And if you take a look at the lineup, he started Mauricio Dubon over Chas McCormick. McCormick was struggling, has been struggling for a bit. Dubon goes 2 for 5. Martin Maldonado starts again at catcher. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see Yainer Diaz in there. He ends up being the designated hitter for Michael Brantley instead. Maybe you second guess that because Diaz hasn't hit a lot. You can make excuses for Diaz there. But Maldonado, weirdly, delivers just enough in the postseason to make you believe that the intangibles that he brings to the table as a catcher are worth the likely at the end of a series around 200 batting average and not very good OPS. So I know you guys get mad about Maldonado playing. I know you guys get mad at Dusty Baker a lot. You got to give those 2 credit for today. You got to be fair. You can't just constantly have an axe to grind against the guy. I guess some Houston radio show host said, I don't know which one to be perfectly honest, but I guess that they said they wanted Maldonado to suck so Dusty would get fired or something like that. And I'm playing telephone right now. I don't know who said it. I don't know why they said it. I like Dusty Baker. I like Martin Maldonado. I feel like they get hate on so much that I must zag and like them because the people that do not like them are so fucking annoying with it to the point that they're really disrespectful about it. I don't like that. Plus, as I did a little bit before, Martin Maldonado is Bane. Nobody cared about me before Yainer Diaz was called up from the minor leagues. Nobody had an issue with me helping the Astros win the World Series in 2022. Nobody cared until I put on the mask and until Yainer Diaz came up and did some things at the plate that were promising. You might talk about statistics from Yainer Diaz. You might think to yourself he's the superior player. But as the great Bill Belichick once said, stats are for losers. The final score and intangibles are for winners. And I, Martin Maldonado, gave you, the people, this great start by Cristian Javier. Will you give me credit? I'm Minnesota's reckoning. So there you go. It's 6-0 Rangers right now. Jesus, that escalated quickly. Holy shit. They must have hit a grand slam. What happened here? Double. Homer. They're scoring a lot of runs. Fuck, this one might be over already. Holy shit, guys. Yeah, the Orioles just made a pitching change. Tyler Wells now in the game. All right, well, you know what? I mean, I did kill Texas, and I apologize for that. They are like Michael Myers in Halloween. They're like Jason in Friday the 13th. They are like Rasputin in real life. They seem rather unkillable. But I feel like I was justified in killing the Rangers earlier this year. I think I was. Y'all some haters getting mad at me over that. What was the final score of those 3 games combined? When the Rangers played the Astros, the last series of the year. Oh, yeah. Well, the Astros won 2 out of 3. That one, a little less convincing than the one before it, right? Hang on a second. What the fuck? They're just showing me the 2023 schedule. ESPN's got to fix their browser website so that I don't look bad when I'm stupidly fishing on the internet. The last 3 games that the Rangers played the Astros before they would win 6 in a row multiple times down the stretch. Monday, 13-6 they lost. Tuesday, 14-1 they lost. Wednesday, 12-3 they lost. So the final score of those 3 games combined was 39, if my math is correct, to 10. The Cowboys' loss to the San Francisco 49ers was, I guess, equally as shitty. If we're doing the math, 42-13 versus 39-10. How about that? What do we have here? YouTube.com/Paul Gallant, Twitch.tv/Gallant says. What's up, Chewy? What's going on, dog? On Twitch.tv/Gallant says. Jason Taylor asks, do I dare start We Want the Rangers? No, I think we got to focus on things a day at a time. If you're listening to my radio show today, I said, like, today is the greatest day of your life. Today is the most important day of the season for the Houston Astros, which means that tomorrow is the most important day of the season for the Houston Astros. There's this thing that Tom Brady once said. He learned this while talking to a trainer at Michigan. He told Tom, you know what my favorite Big Ten championship is? Tom Brady asks, no, what? He said, the next one. So every day you should approach it. This is me being deep thinker, Paul Gallant here. Instagram influencer, life advisor, Paul Gallant here, giving you some tips. Live every day like it's the best day of your life, like it's the most important day of your life, and then the next day is the most important day. Look at me. I'm a philosopher. I've adopted this philosophy. What? Do a little math. I adopted this philosophy at noon today. And now I'm a more full and complete human being. Aaron Russell says, absolutely not. I agree with Aaron. Says Tim Batchelor. More comments, youtube.com/Paul Gallant or twitch.tv/Gallant says. Alan Young asks, why do I have a Jeff Goldblum pillow? That is one of the weirdest things ever. Okay, so here's the pillow. Wait, now you can see the whole thing. So for those who don't know, I used to work at Sports Radio 610 in Houston. I was there for like 8 years. I used to do the night show. I got promoted from doing the night show by myself, which was a great show. I know, I'm biased, but it was. People liked it. We had a nice, fun cult following. But sometimes you get a promotion and you're like, this is awesome. So I got a promotion from doing nights to do the morning show with 2 guys that I love. Still talk to them a lot. We have a group text. We text each other random things still. Mike Meltzer, who is basically my Syracuse big brother. Once I graduated, always was in my corner. And Seth Payne, who I love a lot too. Seth is doing the morning show now with Sean Pendergast, who is also a good friend of mine. I like most people in Houston sports radio. Honestly, I would be able to have beers with literally all of them. But we had moments on the show where with 3 people doing a show together, we would talk over each other. Specifically, Seth and I. And Seth and I would sometimes sound really hostile because we're both loud. So I had the idea one day to just buy this pillow on Amazon because there's a scene in Breaking Bad. I want to say it's like 3rd or 4th, 5th episode when spoiler alert, Walter White is forced to sit through an intervention so that he'll actually fight the cancer that he has. And at one point, Skylar loses her shit because people aren't talking in turn and says, I have the talking pillow. So this was going to be the talking pillow. So you hold this pillow and everyone else had to shut up if we were getting into a conversation where we were starting to talk over each other. And of course, as I introduced this talking pillow at the beginning of a show, both Mike and Seth were annoyed. And I was like, okay, so I just wasted $20. So anyway, I kept the pillow because maybe someday I will bring the talking pillow back. But to me, on Amazon.com, I think this was the cheapest option of a pillow that also indicates that people need to shut the fuck up. And that's why it's there. And now you know. TL didn't listen. Oh, what else do we have here? Aaron Russell says, the Orioles have lived off questionable pitching all season. It was bound to fail them. Their bullpen, I know, has good statistics, but based off of the series that they played against the Astros, I don't trust that bullpen very much. You could say the same thing about the Rangers bullpen, too. Jason Taylor says the Astros are Tom Brady. Let's not get sacrilegious here, okay? Tom Brady is my Lord and Savior, and I will not hear that blasphemy and heresy on this show, okay? Thank you. Luis Martinez says the O's are still young. They will probably be back. Yeah, they'll definitely be back. That's a very good core, assuming that their owner, John Angelos, doesn't cheap out on the entire operation. Andrew Ramirez gives me a shout out for the Man Cave. Thank you. I put way too much time into this. I'm a psycho like Italian restaurants when it comes to wall decorations. I don't like any empty space on the walls. Truly. Luis Martinez says the Rangers are still in line for an epic meltdown. I know that we're trying to manifest things here, but that's probably not going to happen. Jide Lobble says, say Twins. Okay. And Twins, I love Yordan Alvarez getting pitches. Sonny Gray looking like a bitches. Cristian Javier won't quit. And Twins. Working title. Finished product tomorrow on the radio. Oh, boy. What else do we have? YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Morgan is making a nauseous face. I'm assuming that's in response to me talking about my Lord and Savior, Tom Brady. Andrew Ramirez says you can call Verlander the Tom Brady of baseball. How about he wins a lot more Super Bowls? How about he wins a lot more World Series? Jason Taylor says thank you. JV is not Brady. My cat really wants me to leave. Aria, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on things? What do you think? You are honestly, you put up with me so much. You're the most tolerant cat there is. And I wish you would meow because everyone wants to hear your thoughts. Am I the best? Is my radio show the best? Bye. All right. She's annoying the shit out of me right now. And I say that lovingly. I think that's just about it. Anyone else got anything? Jose Urquidy on the mound tomorrow. Great call. I have not touched on that yet. Look, if you're deciding between JP France and Jose Urquidy, I think this one's pretty obvious. And I know there's a lot of people out there that love what they've seen from JP France this season. And no doubt about it, it has been an incredible season for France. You didn't expect anything from him. He gets that first spot start. You're like, fuck, what's going to happen? But it hasn't been great for JP France of late. And it makes you bummed out that Luis Garcia got hurt. Garcia was looking great the first couple of starts of the year. So I'm just going to read you the stat lines of JP France's starts since August 24th against the Red Sox. August 24th, 2 1/3 innings pitched, 11 hits, 10 earned runs, 2 homers. August 29th against Boston, 5 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs. Okay, you're thinking he bounced back. A lot of people are acting like he bounced back. But then, in that 13-6 win over Texas, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 3 home runs. He was solid against San Diego in a blowout victory on September 10th. But against the Royals on the 16th, 4 1/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. And on the 23rd against the Royals, he lost. It wasn't the worst outing, but I think you've seen of JP France of late enough shaky starts to be a little bit nervous about what happens next time around. Against a Twins team that did not get hits today, but for the most part this postseason, I think, has felt very dangerous at the plate. You obviously saw what they were able to do so quickly against Hector Neris, and you saw what they did as well against Framber Valdez on Sunday. That's a good lineup. I would rather put the guy in there that has postseason experience in Jose Urquidy. Maybe not a lot of postseason experience of late. Did he have 2 outings in last year's postseason? I know he had the innings against Seattle, but that's the guy that you trust over JP France. Dusty Baker's always going to trust his veterans, and honestly, I have no problem with that in this situation. Some comments here, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. Let's be controversial. Trevor Bauer to Houston next year. Does Trevor Bauer live here? And honestly, I still am not 100% sure what did and what didn't happen when it comes to Trevor Bauer. I do know that the forward-facing individual who was an accuser of Trevor Bauer has not looked great of late with just public appearances and also with whatever Bauer's counter testimony was. I wish I knew more. He's a very unlikable guy. I know that a lot of Astros fans did not like him a couple of years ago because he was one of the guys that was pointing the finger at the Astros for potentially using spider tack. So I don't know it's a fit from a clubhouse perspective. I feel like if he were to join, he would have to put a lot of things in the past and mend a lot of bridges with some Astros players, maybe not as many as in years past. I don't know that they'd want to bring him in. I don't think it would be great for the vibes of the clubhouse. I also don't know if he's even pitching very well in Japan, where he is right now. Man, we're thinking about offseason already. Tim Bachelor asks, is that Arya from Game of Thrones? Yep, that's Arya from Game of Thrones. Remember when Game of Thrones was great? Isaj says, what's up from Rosenberg? Shout out to Rosenberg. Go Astros. What else do we have? Texas should be cold by next series. Possibly. Yeah, I think he is in Sugarland, as Powered by Plants says. Jason Taylor says, I would love to see him, but I don't think his persona fits. I agree with you there. And Andrew Ramirez says, hang on. That's a very broad brush statement that I'm just not going to read on the air, Andrew. You can't say that. The problem for the people that actually do come forward with incidents ranging from feeling uncomfortable to actually being assaulted, a lot of those are true. A lot of those are unprovable as well. One situation, and maybe this is my own fault believing that humans are generally good, are more often than not good, but I'd like to think that a situation like the one that unfolded with Trevor Bauer or the Duke lacrosse team, I'd like to think that those are isolated examples where there were some people that were looking to take advantage of the situation. I truly, and no one does, I truly don't know enough about the situation and don't care enough to talk about it, to be perfectly honest, to go any further than that. But I think that's a really sweeping statement, and I don't agree with it. Anyway, on that note, guys, I appreciate y'all for tuning into today's edition, post-game edition of the Gallant Says podcast. We'll do another one of these tomorrow, whether it's in the early afternoon or late at night if the game's in prime time. But if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. If you're a Twitcher, twitch.tv/Gallant Says. It's also in podcast form after the fact. Keep an eye out for it in a couple of hours. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Until tomorrow, whenever the Astros game is played, I am merely Paul Gallant. So long, farewell, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace!